Alright, we're back here with another video. Today's going to be different than what most of my channel is going to be about, because as of lately a tragedy has happened and my car broke again. So this time I broke a wheel stud off, so today I have to replace my wheel hub, so I'm going to do a video on that. If you've watched videos on how to replace things on cars, you'll know there's some good, some great, some are terrible. Let's hope today's not terrible and I could show you this informatively and give you some good tips on what you'll be doing. So I have the new part here and hopefully we'll get that on. One thing that I've learned from my time on working on cars is there's one thing I have found that is invaluable in the entire process. And that is going to be a headlamp. So I always use a headlamp normally when I'm working on cars. I picked this up at the local parts store for like 30 bucks. I think it does like 400 lumens, so it helps in those dark, hard to reach areas see what you're doing. But we'll get into the video. Alright, so for this you're going to need a 12mm socket, a 16mm socket, a 3/8 drive ratchet. I like this one because I can extend it, make it longer or shorter for different scenarios. You're going to need a 36mm socket, a 1/2" drive breaker bar. I used a cheater bar. You're going to need a spindle nut because they're one-time use, so when you take it off you're going to need to replace it. Some WD-40, various lighting equipment, and whatever you need to take your tire off. A flathead screwdriver, and some blue loctite. Alright, so here it is. Obviously I broke this wheel stud, so hopefully I can get this whole assembly off and we can get this replaced in a timely manner. Obviously this video is not going to be that long, so it's going to seem faster than it actually will. First thing I like to do normally is I like to spray some WD-40 on it, let it sit. You never know how long things have been on the car, so it's always good to spray something in there to help break them loose. Alright, after you let that sit in some WD-40 or whatever penetrating oil you're going to use, first things first is you're going to want to take this brake caliper off. On my vehicle, there's 2 bolts, one at the top, one at the bottom. This is a 12mm socket, so you're going to take your ratchet, get those broke. Alright, sometimes these are stuck on there real good, so sometimes what I like to do is I like to just take a flathead screwdriver, give a little pry, and it's off. You're going to use a zip tie or something to tie this up out of the way so it doesn't get damaged. Alright, after you get the brake caliper out of the way, next thing you're going to need to do is take the actual brake pads off. I usually get those with a screwdriver. Be a little careful. Alright, there's one. And there's 2. Alright, after you get the brake pads off, you're actually going to need to get this other part of the brake caliper off. On my vehicle, there's 2 bolts. There's one here at the bottom and one here at the top. These bolts are going to be a 15mm socket. So take your ratchet and your socket. You might have to give it a few smacks to get it to crack loose. And then after that, just take it off as you would any other bolt. That one was stuck good, huh? Okay, so the next thing you need to do is you need to get this cap off to access the bolt that's in here. I just use a screwdriver and a hammer. Give it a few taps. Once you get it started, just go in a circular motion. And there you go. All right, next we have to get the spindle nut off. This is gonna be a 36 millimeter, so you're gonna need a 36 millimeter socket. I'm just using a breaker bar on a long pole, and we'll see how this goes. All right, so here's the new one. What you want to do before you put the new one on is you want to put some grease on the, not the threads, but the actual smooth side where the new hub goes on. So now all we're going to do is throw the new nut on, because the spindle nut is a one-time use only, so once you get the old one off, you're going to need to replace it with a new one. Right after you get this nut tightened down, you're going to have to replace the cap. Mine just slid right back on. You might have to use a punch and hit it with a hammer in a circular motion to get it back on. But after you got the nut back on and the cap, you can slide your rotor on and start putting everything back into place. Alright, that's going to be it for today's video. After you get everything off, it's pretty much the same thing in reverse, so I didn't bother recording that. If this video helped you, go ahead, leave a comment or like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.